Just doing my thing.
Thank you for tuning in to the voice of C38. Today I'm your captain, Brendan Wyatt, flying on the skeleton crew, just me and my wingman Brian today.
My thing.
Co-pilot and pilot, baby.
Yeah, we can do this.
Aloha, friends. Is that always in there?
Pretty much. Oh, no.
I guess I've never heard that.
Yeah, that was the whole best part, doing my thing. That's pretty much what we're doing, our own thing.
It's our updated theme music, friends. Enjoy.
Extended. It's the same song, just extended it
Oh,
out.
really?
Yeah.
Dub mixing over there?
No. All right. Well, let's kick right into the starting 11. Jump right on in.
So this is, instead of the studio, this is the two of us, just maybe the lounge.
Yeah.
The
A little
bar.
bit of the bar.
C38 bar. Voice of C38.
That's the way it should be.
You're right, it should.
If I had it my way, I'd knock out this wall and put in a tap from the refrigerator upstairs.
They don't know we don't have that.
Oh, shoot.
As far as they know, we are sweet.
Yeah, we're pimping. Funded completely by me. Anyway, back to the starting 11. Looking back at last week's tie in Vancouver, you got some thoughts?
Yeah. You and I had we saw each other earlier in the day, and I really liked the way we played for most of the match. I said it before, I'll say it again. Some people disagree with me, but he's not here today. Doyle is money. He is the man. And it's funny, he's kind of gone under the radar a little bit. It's
because he wasn't scoring
can,
and
yeah.
international stuff and the break and everything else.
Gosh.
I think for this team, it's finding the groove they were in before that June break, which might be part of the reason that they've tied the last few games. But I have to agree, that might have been one of Doyle's best games.
He just, movement off the ball. And for that, the whole thing, and you heard Richard and talk about it a lot during the broadcast. I mean, the movement, both on the ball and off the ball, but they moved the ball quick. And we've got the skill and the players, the speed to do that.
And that was without Jones.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we might be without Jones again this week.
Spoiler.
Just putting it out there right now. But his off-the-ball movement, like you're right, that goal that he scored was because of his off-the-ball movement. He caught Gashy's eye at the right time. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, we all know Gashy would have took that shot.
He took enough as it was.
Yeah.
Well, he looked good, too. I liked where he was pulling the trigger from. And without Alstad in goal, first of all, like we talked about earlier, Vancouver would be crap.
Absolutely. I definitely, I thought that might have been Vancouver's best game defensively, and that's kind of saying a lot for a team that's got the worst defense in the league.
Yeah.
But then again, on the flip side of it, we couldn't score really without forcing it almost against the worst defense in the league.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, it's bittersweet tie. I mean, it did look almost like it was going to be a loss there because, Watsy had that pull down in the box.
Oh, God. And, okay, I'm going to kind of foreshadow a little bit one of my 3 points at the end, but when you got Tim Howard behind you, back off.
Yeah.
Don't even give the guy a chance.
So you think that was more just a panic move of being used to, I got to do something here?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because, you could tell he knew the ball was going out. The opposing player knew it was going out. If he hadn't had that here, up on the shoulder, if his hand would have been down here at the waist, that call doesn't get made.
Yeah, if he didn't put his hands up on the guy, because he was already falling down in the first place.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a shifty call. And then if we're talking about shifty calls, how about Eric Miller's red?
Ugh. I think I saw a tweet from St. Ledger that was summed it up, and I can't remember exactly. He's just to the effect of, you can't touch anybody anymore, soft red or whatever it was.
Oh, we know how St. Ledger feels about the referees.
Yeah. Not a big fan.
Well, it's unfortunate that Tammy couldn't make it today for this cast because she didn't have a whole lot of news, but one thing she did have was how Morales sold that red.
Oh, yeah.
And how he flopped around and rolled around, and then as soon as Eric got the red, walked right on the field like no big deal.
Yeah, exactly. Gets up. Job done.
Yeah, and that kind of was more frustrating for me than the actual red it was, or, in general. So it was, man, kind of a kick in the balls, but it was great effort on the team to, and Axel and of course Doyle for dumping that cross in.
Yeah.
I mean, that could have ended up on any head anywhere or in Alsted's hands, but it found Axel's head and he was on target. And that's awesome. Considering we have a handful of center backs on our roster that used to be strikers, Axel's not one of them.
Yeah.
But he's got 2 goals on the season so
Exactly.
far. So, we're scoring from different positions, but we're still not scoring. I mean, that's the thing that really kind of going forward, we need to score. And in order to win games, you still can't do it 0-0 or 1-1 or 2-2 in this case. So, we really got to have that floodgate where the offense clicks together. And being out of training today, not seeing Spinney out of training, and even though Sharpie was working some of the shooting drills afterwards, but not having Spinney there kind of, I don't know if that should have raised a flag, but it did pique my interest. But then again, there were a few other guys that weren't there. And Dylan Powers was walking around after practice looking for a friend of his. And we asked him, how's little Dill? And he's here. He's doing fine. He's recovering, doing everything he can.
In the gym area.
So if Little Dill's there and a couple other guys, who was it, Gashi and Jones, weren't out on the pitch.
Yep.
So maybe Spinney was doing something with them inside. You can always speculate. Just because the players aren't necessarily out on the pitch doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be playing or won't be playing come this Saturday.
Yeah. As far as Jones probably Gash should be back in the lineup.
I would think Gashi would be back in the lineup. I think, like you said, it's a Nick LaBroca professional day.
Yes.
Taking some time to rest.
For us old guys, that's a day off.
Jones has me a little worried. In case anyone doesn't know, we were told that it's a calf concern. So he must have tweaked his calf or something wasn't right, whether it happened in Vancouver or maybe here. I would think
it sounded like it was pregame.
Yeah, I think if that's the case, that's obviously why he was extremely frustrated and mad. If you saw the shots of him on the bench, it was
mopey.
Not happy to make the trip and have a little twinge and be told you're not going to play this game.
Well, let's hope it's a calf and not an Achilles further down.
Very true.
You know what I mean?
Very
Because
true.
one is much worse than the other one.
Right. A calf, some magic dust and a little bit of time, and you might be able to run back out there. But you're right. An Achilles, that's kind of the main part of your bottom part of your leg and your feet and whatnot. So,
and those are slow healers.
Plus, with them playing on turf, there could have been some extra concern about being on turf.
Bingo.
And now you're back home this weekend on a really nice pitch. Yep. So take some time, get yourself right. We know that Jones can jump right into the lineup without having to have much practice time. He did it last time.
Exactly.
He wasn't as productive as he was in every other game.
Although the only thing that was a little concerning to hear was that he wasn't at training yesterday. So he basically, after the match, had Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off of training. Now, whether he did any gym work or anything, we don't know, but that's a little bit of a red flag.
Which is why I was kind of like, we may not have Jones again this weekend, which, in that case...
I tend to lean on your side there.
We're pretty much looking at almost the same lineup minus Eric Miller. Papa probably will make the start again. Mm-hmm. There'll be a full week in between games of, rest and recovery. And he was out there kicking some butt and, staying late. Him and Lucho stayed late, kept doing the shooting drills. Like, that's part of his game. I'm going to keep.
Papa's Papa, man. Papa does Papa. And he's, man, hopefully he gets more involved,
Speaking of training, since we were out there today, were there any, there was obviously a handful of faces that were out there that aren't on the roster. Some were academy kids. Mm-hmm. One is I would call him a trialist, although he's been in camp now for maybe a month. You kind of wonder what the plan is.
The Jamaican?
Yeah.
Okay.
He looks more in shape now than he did a month ago.
Amen to that.
So keeping him around, as long as we're keeping him around, makes me wonder.
He's been here, a solid
month?
More, 4 or 5 weeks.
Because I want to say he started pretty much in the beginning of June. As soon as Russia was done, he was pretty much here.
About right.
And considering we were looking at him last year, there's definitely some interest in the front office and with the coaching staff. They want him for some reason. I'm not quite sure how he would be utilized at this point. Maybe an off the bench Dylan Cerna kind of type player, because when you look at our starting lineup, who would you replace for Shelton?
Yeah, nobody in the starting lineup.
Mm-mm.
Maybe not even, depending on if everybody's healthy. I don't even know if he's my second guy off the bench.
You think Don Badji first?
Well, depends. I mean, if you have guys like Powers available, or like you said, Dom or Marlon. Marlon's in favor right now. They like the way he's playing.
Mm-hmm.
Can't find the back of the net yet. However, kid's playing well.
I think Marlon might get the start for Eric Miller.
Back there, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
And then obviously Powers for Jones again, and Papa and Gashi and Doyle.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what we're looking at. But
Same old, yeah.
there's our 11 minutes.
Bam, that was quick.
Yeah, that kind of went pretty fast.
You're welcome, listeners.
Staying on track.
This is something new for us, so bear with us.
Yeah, we're trying. News-wise, there's a handful of things that kind of are worth talking about. Some are we can just bring up. First thing, we were briefly talking about it. C38 Karma Man, Emmanuel Appia.
Oh, yeah.
He was the first one to come out and get some karma and then get released. So it was like, oh. But
wasn't our fault, people.
It didn't take long. He's got a new club, and that club is Sporting Kansas City, who we happen to face.
Oh, ironic.
This Saturday. Now, the chances
How would they see him or anything?
Well, it's based on what they've seen of him either in preseason, because we did play him a bit in preseason.
Yeah.
In case he was down there. But
I'm sure they've been looking at Charlotte.
Yeah.
Or talking to somebody in Charlotte.
yeah, they're that are here. But
yeah, because Pablo and Peter Vermes know each other from back in the day, I'm sure.
I wonder how the rapport is. This is kind of leading into some things later on, but Pablo's got Vermes' number right now, 4 in a row.
I know it. I looked back at the schedule and thought, both there and here.
A couple other guys.
Hold on.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Knock on some wood. A couple other guys got some minutes last night against a Bundesliga team. There's no need to give the result because it wasn't in the favor of the Switchbacks.
So I've heard.
But Connor Doyle and Don Badji got in and had a few minutes. They didn't start. They got subs, but they definitely got some game time minutes. And then Greenspan played the whole game. But when you play against a team like that where they are technically superior, it didn't help Joe's game much from what I heard.
Talking about the Switchbacks, you see a lot more of player movement through there now. You see that relationship growing, don't you?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Coincidence or
it's
foreshadowing?
I think it's both. I know that there's a grip load of us fans and supporters that wanted this. I think the alliance with Charlotte was something that we were kind of rubbing our heads at a little bit, knowing that the Springs were going to come in, but maybe it was one of those things where they wanted to have a team where they could send players right away, where at that time the Springs weren't a team yet.
Yeah, it was more out of necessity rather than
if I can recall right, the contract they signed with Charlotte was just a 2-year contract, which puts that at now.
Yep, after this year.
So maybe working out what they've worked out between Charles last year, Joe this year, sending a couple guys down just for one game in a friendly. It like you said, coincidence and foreshadowing. I do think that they are starting to realize how it could benefit both clubs.
Yeah, I think
by just being able to send players 2 hours away. So there's that in the news. The other thing, it's worth a little bit of discussion, the MLS fan all-star voting.
Oh, for God's sakes, fans, what is your problem?
How is it that, as C38, we sit there and boast about how we're such a huge supporters group, but even if every single supporter voted for someone or that same person, I almost think it wouldn't even have registered in the fan voting. I mean, it's ballot stuffing. I don't know, something's just extremely flawed when you have no players from at least the 2 top teams in the league with Dallas and Colorado.
Yeah.
No one? Are you kidding me? We got to wait for the coaches to pick somebody? That's just not okay. And you've had guys like Gashi or Doyle who've been a part of the team of the week almost every week, yet no one's getting votes. Yep.
And even Axel's been on, what, twice?
Yeah.
Couple?
Well, he was on the bench last week for Team of the Week.
Oh, yeah.
And then Howard's up for Save of the Week, so get out there and vote. Vote.
I'm surprised half those chumps out there and, outside of the Rocky Mountain region didn't vote Howard in anyway.
Was he even available?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But people are stupid enough to do that.
Just a write-in ballot.
Yeah.
Tim Howard.
Oh, we got to have a... Anyway.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, but...
It raises a flag to me. It definitely kind of shows me that not everything is as perfectly run as they tell you.
Well, and shows you, too, the respect that where we are in the country, nobody knows or gives a crap who we are yet.
Even if we win the cup.
That'd be probably the only thing to change minds or to put us on the radar. Because I'm sure those East Coast fans, just think basically everybody west of Columbus is third world country. Heck, might even be closer than that. Everybody west of D.C.
Well, and then the West Coast just
and don't
thinks
know how
of
to
the
play
West
soccer
Coast.
and everything else. So
that's why they call us the flyover region.
Yep.
Pretty much just fly over and forget about it.
It's okay. They can fly over and lose the cup here at the Dick come end of October.
So, yeah, speaking of the Dick, we are back home at the Dick this week. Yeah.
Finally.
We got 2 games in a row at home. So we've got this week
2 tough ones.
Kansas City, and next week is what I'm going to start calling the revenge match.
Nice.
Because it's Dallas, and those of us who saw the Open Cup game where they wrongfully took out Cerna, I almost think that was kind of a headshot. Not a headshot, but just they were head hunting a little.
Pot shot.
Yeah, that tackle didn't need to happen. And it obviously took out one of our most dynamic players.
I get a feeling people like Sam Cronin, Azira, will remember that number.
Oh, absolutely. I would be more shocked if I saw something from Azira, but I definitely could see Cronin going out there and maybe clipping some heels.
Just letting people know that they remember.
It's unfortunate, although we saw Sean St. Ledger playing in training today, and it would be good if we had him for that game just because of the physicality and what he brings to the table. It would be nice to kind of have that, because when it comes to physicality, we have to rely on Jones. And if Jones isn't in the lineup right now, we aren't as strong of a team. And that's honestly one of the things that hurt us last year and the year before, is we didn't really have that bad boy, someone that intimidates the other players on the opponent.
Which that's Jermaine right there.
Absolutely. And without him in the lineup, other teams feel like they've got more of a chance and are pressing on us more. And before we know it, we're the ones with 10 guys behind the ball.
Yeah.
And thankfully, we didn't do that as much in Vancouver as we did, the week before. But still, we can't have our dynamic midfield and forwards in our own half playing, looking for the ball. Like, I shouldn't see Papa looking like he's the defensive mid or the stopper. Yeah. And I saw that a few times in Vancouver, and it was like, oh, no.
I don't want him past the back edge of that circle.
Right. He needs to be Valderrama, man.
Yep.
Like right in that center circle dictating the play. Even though they have him playing outside, that's where him and Powers can switch and fill the gaps and whatnot. So, yeah, to be able to not have your bad boy or an influence of defender or mid, it's a Pablo. We're missing a Pablo. We're missing a Jones. And unfortunately, St. Ledger isn't right 100% yet, but it's nice to finally see him out in training, in the mix, not being held back. He wasn't wearing...
Expound on that a little.
Yeah. Both him and Bobby were really in there. Bobby today had more goals than anybody in short-sided games. So, maybe the striker in him. Or Dylan Powers says, he's got it in the bag. He just doesn't like to show it much. What's wrong with you, man? Yeah, you do. You got to show that as soon as you can, every opportunity you got.
Hey, he's banged in a couple that weren't headers this year. Well, the one anyway.
He had that nice one in training. 40 yards out, far post.
Yeah, you guys, he beat Chris Sharp like he was wearing cement shoes. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was nice.
Although and they were going full speed. We saw St. Ledger pull a little Irish crime on Doyle.
And then laughed about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what I was talking about. Like,
it'd be nice to have that back on the...
He can't be hurting that bad to be as physical as he was
Yeah.
and moving the way he was moving and
Both of them,
not have a no contact jersey on or whatnot. So I took that as a good sign. Like that's my number one takeaway from training from what I saw today was that Sean St. Ledger is back in the mix. Now, some people will sit there and say, okay, well, as soon as he gets healthy, we'll ship him out. But
Yeah.
I don't know, man. We have an Irish guy running things in the front office. And
True.
the more I start to see some of the Irish picks and things that are brought in, it's a good thing to bring to the team. Like those guys have a good mentality. They're really educated on and off the pitch. I think it's good to have. I think that I don't think we should get rid of him. I don't.
I don't either. I love his attitude and I love his toughness. He's not the youngest guy in the bunch, but I mean, look at the last month or so. Center back depth is key.
Yeah, and that's why I felt like, especially losing Bobby when we did, and up to this point, not knowing where Sean was at, I really kind of felt like Parag needed to maybe reconsider this transfer window and maybe look for a quality center back because we clearly have guys who can play on the wings between Mikhail and Mark and Marley and Eric. But when it comes to the center back, we truly just have Axel right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we really can't call Watts a
up
center back.
Exactly, yeah.
And I don't think anyone listening would call Watts a center back either. So when it comes down to depth,
Austin might.
No.
Love you, Austin.
As far as news goes, since we brought up Austin, the Drunken Monk, for those of you as a heads up, is definitely on the Pokemon Go kick.
Oh, for God's sakes.
So if anyone is joined in on the Pokemon Go thing, you know, the Drunken Monk is doing it. He's got me. I downloaded the thing, but
you did.
I've gotten more frustrated with it than I have to be like, oh, this game is cool. Like it's I don't know. It might be a waste of time and battery for me, but
you know, I'm Mr. Off the Grid. So
I told him that. I was like, yeah, good luck getting Brian to try. And he's like, well, it might just be you and I. Okay.
Well, it pretty much will be.
It might just be him. I'll give it a go. I'll get to level 5 and see what it's really about. If I can even get to that. I keep catching little Pokemons and the damn game freezes up. So.
Although I will say a certain PR rep that we know from the Rapids is playing.
Well, I think...
And I gave him crap.
I saw something on Facebook that was like, any man over the age of 18 playing Pokemon Go should have their man card removed.
That wasn't me, by the way, that said that.
No, I'm just repeating what I saw on the book face. But I do think that I was surfing around just on MLS all over, and every team has got, they're jumped on it. You know, it's like the Pokemon Go is invading the stadiums, and can you imagine what Saturday is going to do to the Pokemon servers?
Oh, God.
It's going to get nuts. I can't believe we just spent 3 minutes talking about Pokemon. I'm done.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to go vomit.
Moving right along.
On that note,
let's talk about our enemy this week. The Kansas City Wizards.
I can't call they're I can say frenemy. I can't say enemy.
Yeah, you've got some history there. Since you have some history, is there a little insight? Do you know anything coming at us that you feel like sharing?
No, I mean nothing really. Just I've watched a bit of their last 2 matches, and they're definitely improving. They scored a winner literally at the final whistle the weekend before. And just one of those where we'd give it up, but they seem to be playing with a little more chip on their shoulder, which is a kind of a bummer because they are in such a down rut. I mean, it's one of those you want to get them while they're down, but again, I don't know. I think teams anybody can be had here. So now it's just a matter of no stupid mistakes. Play the way, the Rapids can play, and good things are going to happen. So, yeah. Am I worried? Not really.
Yeah.
Right. But again, kind of foreshadowing towards the 3 points. I don't think we can afford to draw many more home games. It's been way too many already.
Yeah, that's kind of what we were saying last week. Like you mentioned, the last 2 games, Kansas City has won, so they're on a 2-game win streak. But They do have some notable injuries.
And I think those were both at home, correct, for them?
Yes.
Okay.
So now they're away for the next two. They play tonight in Chicago.
Ooh, that's right. They got a midweek.
And Chicago has owned them. Even when they're bad, Chicago still finds a way to beat KC. So that might help us a little bit.
True.
So they play tonight, then they travel here. They're out with Zusi's out with a hamstring, Myers is out with a groin, and Nagamura's out with a hamstring. All are questionable. Zusi pulled the hamstrings on Sunday. So I don't think we will see Zusi this weekend.
Yeah.
Myers and Nagamura, maybe.
They
Depending
really have
on-
been. They've been gone for a little bit.
Yeah, so they might be coming back, but we can sit there and say, hey, they're questionable.
Yeah.
They may not be a part of the squad. Phil Hauber, on the other hand, he's got a goal in his each last two games. So one could say he's on form, might be the guy you want to keep an eye out for. Dwyer returns. He had to sit the last game for yellow card accumulation. Yeah, we all love Dwyer, don't we?
Ugh.
So
Triple D.
that's pretty much kind of it, except for we've won the last four, and this is the third meeting between Kansas City and Colorado this year, so it's our final meeting with them.
Yeah.
We won the last two, and for the first time ever, Colorado is looking at a clean sweep, winning all three games.
Yeah, that's been.
It
That's
hasn't
pretty
been
amazing.
done, so there's a really good chance that they could continue to set club records, because if they go unbeaten again, knock on some wood, that'll be a club record 14-game unbeaten streak. And
Which
then,
there will be a Voice of C38 tailgate cast, so the karma should be intact.
Yep.
Yes, I'm.
Yeah, we have.
I don't want to speak out of turn.
No, we're hoping for Little Dill. Not quite sure who else would be available.
Yeah, really.
We also didn't get to interview the kid, Jason, from the Special Olympic team a couple weeks ago when they were playing. He wasn't available, but he will be available at this tailgate. So we'll have the one of the Special Olympic kids out. So we're definitely going to at least keep most of the karma going. But
Nice.
oh my God,
Jesus, man.
what did I do?
Where'd that come from?
No yawning.
What was I gonna do? I had
Cut.
something, but
So, but yeah, as far as the tailgate cast goes, everything should go the way it has been going. So keeping the karma going,
dang it.
keep the the undefeated streak going, whether it's at home or away. But preferably, like you said, we could just go right into our 3 points.
I know what it was. Just to backtrack just a second.
Nice.
You had mentioned, Dwyer's coming back
Mhm.
and Fehlhaber. I would feel more comfortable with Jones in because I think Jones can shut down Fehlhaber easily. But that being said, too, remember the last match, Axel owned Dwyer.
Yeah.
Had him in his
Yeah.
pocket the whole night. So he doesn't, knock on wood, now watch him score 3 or something. He doesn't really concern me. Again, it's just, I'll make this one. How about this? Here's one of my 3 points. No stupid mistakes. If you're in the box, hands off, man. You got Tim Howard behind you.
Mm-hmm.
Play it safe.
Yep. You got 2 more?
Movement. Again, keep that going. Not only on the ball, but off the ball. And like we saw at Vancouver, we saw quick movement with the ball. We saw, quick passes. We saw guys getting forward as a group, not just one guy running forward, Kevin Doyle, and everybody else just kind of looking to maybe get him the ball or, gee, I wonder how the ball is going to get to him. Move forward as a group, pin him back. Again, this roster has the guys to do that, even coming off the bench. So I think that's going to be key too.
Okay.
Might
Need a minute?
need a minute.
All right. Well, my first is that with the way teams have been playing us on their end, they are putting 10 guys behind the ball. So instead of being the defense that we've been, we need to focus on the counterattack and the offensive counterattack, because it's turned into us having 10 guys behind the ball.
Yeah.
And like you said, the movement, it matters. And we haven't been a counterattack team. We might need to start being one just because of the way other teams are playing us, especially at home. We have to know ahead of time right now. Kansas City's going to be on their heels.
Yeah.
Even if they're having a decent run, winning the last two, they're not going to come in and just attack.
They're going to look at Portland tape.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to look at who was it? They're going to look at the way we played in LA too.
Yeah.
You know, LA kind of went that route to an extent. But
Well, and obviously most recently Vancouver, because that game, it had moments of brilliantness from Colorado, but it wasn't cohesive. It wasn't throughout 90 minutes. It wasn't throughout 45 minutes. So that would be my second point, is to be able to seamlessly be able to pass the ball. That's partially part of your points that, you know, the quick passes, Papa's going to have to be
without
that creator.
turnovers.
And Dylan Powers needs to, maybe even if he's playing in that Jones's role, if he could suck back a little and play the way he played 3 years ago in the middle of the field, that's going to benefit the team a whole lot. Even with Michael and Sam running around the way they're running around, if there were times where I felt like Dylan was higher up the field than Kevin Doyle.
Yeah.
That's not okay, especially when we are on our heels and they're pressing. We need to have him back there more because he can be that guy who fills the gaps. So I'm looking for a big game from Dylan Powers. That's my point number 2. And then my point number 3 is Tim Howard. Another shutout.
I'm sorry, who?
What? Oh, Howard. Yeah, another shutout. You know, a clean sheet at home. This is another opportunity. We probably won't fill the stadium the way we did July 4th. But this is another opportunity for the Rapids and, you know, the entire organization to gain some fans. And a win at home is what will do it. There will be at least a small percentage of fans who are newcomers to the deck. And if they have a good experience and see some exciting soccer, they're going to want to come back. And that's what we're looking for.
You'd hope so.
Out of basically the rest of this season is some attacking style soccer. We've done well, kind of keeping the bar, playing well, playing defensive, playing real tight. But now it's time to start adding that offensive threat that we know we have.
Yeah, it's kind of time to open it back up again.
Yeah. So there's my 3. What's your final one?
Well, I don't really have one. But your third one, you mentioned Howard. Let's just go back to that Vancouver game just real briefly. Sorry, Matt.
Save of the week.
That's why that guy's in the class that he is.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. For people who didn't see the match or see replay, go back into MLS site and watch his save.
And then vote.
Oh, yeah, definitely vote. Not like the All-Star game. Actually vote. For Doyle as well. That guy is incredible.
Yeah, he read it.
Nobody else makes that. I don't know who else makes that save.
Mm-mm. Not without hurting themselves either.
Yeah.
I mean, it was right on the post. His foot was in the right spot. And
He just kick saved like no big deal.
You know, my favorite part of that replay is if you look closely, there's a little ball boy in the back. He's in pink. You can't miss him. And as soon as it hits and goes off, he's just like hands overhead, knees to the ground, like, oh! And you know that every other single fan in that stadium did the exact same thing. So that was a classic response.
And Howard just hopped up like, yeah, whatever.
And everybody else was like, oh! Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's why we have Tim Howard.
That's what I mean. He's going to save games. So now it's up to you because he's doing what he's going to do. You got to go out there on the other end to make it worthwhile.
Yeah, that's where we need the offense. I mean, I've been saying it since.
How about that? There's my third point.
Yeah, I mean, and for everything else, it's just we need to score. Tim Howard can't win games unless by some miracle he scores another goal. But it's not like he can put them in as easily as Kevin Doyle can or Gashi can or Papa can. Like, we have guys that if they have 2 seconds and can look at the net, they can put it on frame or in the back of the net.
And that's the thing. We've got guys who can score from
all over
the place.
And in different ways.
Exactly.
Different feet, I mean, we have the ability. It's time to really just open the bag and let the floodgates just open and hopefully show all of us what they've been building and going for. I mean,
how about a nice 4-0 win a la Dallas?
Yeah. What happened to that? We haven't scored more than 2 goals at all this season.
Yeah.
And we haven't won by more than 1 goal at all this season. I think it's time for a change.
That's quite a stat, really. That's living on the edge.
Isn't it? It's knuckle biting soccer.
Yeah.
As a fan, it's white knuckles. Squeeze your beers. I mean, that's not your fun, exciting soccer that these nonchalant fans are looking for.
Yeah, you're right.
And we kind of need that. And if you can get that done at home, that's almost like 6 points.
And don't get me wrong, I'm in the camp of I don't care how you do it, a win's a win. 3 points, 3 points. However, I think, like you said, putting a multi-goal game, winning by multi-goals is going to do a lot for the confidence of the guys in that locker room too. So I think that would go a long way. I'd sure like to see it this weekend.
Yeah, me too. So with that, we'll go ahead and close the show out. A little bit of C38 news.
Nice.
There isn't much. Just kind of a shout out to Blue Spruce for providing the beer at the tailgate. Well, I know that they're starting the home brew contest soon.
Cool.
So if you're brewing your beer, start doing it now, because that game is coming up.
You can't just go pop the top off of a fat tire and take the label off.
Ooh, some of us beer snobs will know what we're drinking. So as far as the rest of that goes, tickets are obviously available. This isn't a sold-out game, so you can hit up the C38 tailgate for tickets. Catch our live podcast.
Yep,
interview.
generally around 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock has been pretty much the designated time, 1 hour before kickoff. So we will have a player of relevance by 6 o'clock. And then, like I said earlier,
What does that mean? Like just somebody on the roster or what?
Yep. They're not going to give us just a little mini spinny, although that would be pretty cool because I've got some questions for him. I mean, what's it like playing for a team and not having a contract?
Yeah.
And knowing that you're playing.
That we know of. Anyway.
Right. Well, they haven't released it. You'd think that if they signed him to something, they would have done at least some sort of PR release.
Backdoored into his dad's contract.
Yeah, he's like, all right, I'll come coach, but my son is playing at least on the training pitch.
So I need an extra $40K.
But come visit us. Come get some tickets. Come out to the deck and see what it's all about. And until then, well, we will see you guys.
Aloha.
It's a small world. I'ma see you again.